Thank you guys. Very happy to be on the live NADA stage. My name is Michelle Phelps. I am the Director of Sales at Authenticom, and we are going to talk today with April Simmons and Thomas. And April is, well, I should let you give your own background. You got quite a story.
Is this on? Okay. I was like, I don't know if I'm on. April Simmons with Horn Auto Group. We have 14 stores in Arizona. This is my 27th year in automotive. I've done a little bit of everything, but on the desk, finance, GM, GSM, and now I work at the corporate office doing a little bit of everything. I gave myself a new name this year. My title is now April Simmons Doge, Director of Group Efficiency. So that's what I'm rolling with, but that's who I am.
Thomas,
Awesome.
You're up, buddy.
I'm Thomas. I run partnerships over at Podium, and we are a kind of a lead funnel communication tool for dealers to use, as well as an AI employee.
Thank you. So a little bit about Authenticom. We are a data solutions company. We help dealers and vendors with a few different products, and the one we're going to talk about today is NADAVault. So in 2024, Authenticom, we announced a strategic partnership with NADA because we really wanted to help dealers understand what is going on with their data and give control. So I asked April from the dealer's perspective and Tom from Podium and a vendor perspective, what are some best practices and things that we need to really focus on for DMS data and integration and control and what's going on with that? So, April, I'm going to kind of kick it over to you real fast because April...
Well, I do want to throw, so I'm going to throw out to the audience. Who in here is dealers, just by a raise of hands? How many of you are dealers? Okay. The reason I ask is that I happenstanced onto Authenticom a little over a year ago because I had a vendor partner that was trying to get some data connections to do some work for us and create some customized benchmarks for my store. And we were really having some struggles with getting the connector. And they met Michelle and ended up creating an Authenticom account. And I had this aha moment, and I said, well, wait a minute. Can I do that as a dealer group? Can I create my own data my way, basically, right, through Authenticom and be able to action my data? And so we took the next few months, we created that, and it's been amazing. And I will tell you, when CDK went down this summer, we didn't skip a beat because I had all my data, so all my marketing, everything was able to continue to flow, and it's been a really great partnership.
Oh, thank you. Yes, as April said, we kind of met by happenstance about a year and a half ago, and she came to me and she said, what do you guys do? Tell me everything. I kind of want to build my own CDP and just really control my data. And I said, well, let's take a look at what you're doing, right? So we worked for, like you said, a few months, and we got it all going, and it's all live now, and powering her data and cleaning it, more importantly, with her DMS and CRM data, and then sending it to wonderful partners like Podium.
Yeah, we've been connected and partners with Authenticom for almost a decade, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got many hundreds of dealers using Authenticom and connecting to different systems within their internal infrastructure and enriching data in Podium, both for remarketing opportunities, for lead enrichment opportunities, as well as driving Jerry, our AI employee, to make the most out of all of that data on behalf of those dealers.
So let me ask you guys a question, because one of the big things that we're really hearing at the show here is just with everything that has happened in 2024 and just security of data is so important right now, and just understanding where your data is going. When you hear stuff like that at the show floor in the last couple of days, like what comes into your head?
Well, I think one of the biggest things, and this is going to go out to all of you vendors now. I'm going to kind of flip to the other side. It's important for you all to understand that the dealers are now faced with challenges that we've never been faced with before. There is so much new legislation coming out, compliance on how we have to control that data, and we have to make sure that when somebody wants to opt out, that we've actually opted them out, and all of the different things. And unfortunately, it's very, very difficult because most of our data is so dirty and so siloed. The things that we are legally held responsible to do isn't actually possible. And I understand for most vendors, yeah, it doesn't directly affect you, but it does affect your dealers. And so it's really important that as an industry, we start to come together and understand that so that we have one place to have our data that we can action upon it, whether you're a vendor, an OEM, or a dealer. That's the only way we're going to ever be able to adhere to all of the new compliance restrictions and policies.
Yeah, absolutely. Thomas, anything to add there?
Yeah, I'd say that the connection with formerly DealerVault, NADAVault, or NADAVault gives that power to the dealer, and make sure that that connection is direct within the dealer's hands to whatever system they're using, no matter what provider down this main hallway, whether it's Cox or CDK or Reynolds or all three sometimes within that dealership, and gives us the unique access and the single kind of point of access for that data. It enables the dealer to enable or disable that at will if they need to in any case.
You know, you'd be surprised. One of my most fun things that I enjoy about my job is talking to large dealership groups. And one of the first questions I always ask, do you know where your data is going? Some of them are like, yeah, you know, a little bit. And I'll be like, okay, let's see how good you are. And we'll have them go and run a report. Who actually has access to your DMS data, or it could be your CRM data? I've had some just conversations with individuals where they're like, no, this person has my data, and we'll run the report. Hundreds of people have their data. And then it is just like, well, I haven't used them for 5 years. They've been getting your data for 5 years, and we're none the wiser. And who knows what the heck they are doing with it, reselling it. You know, think of what that does for your dealership and the consumer. And then you think about
risk.
The risk.
The risk is massive. Because if they make a mistake with that data that they shouldn't even have anymore,
it comes back on you.
You are the one as the dealer who is holding the bag. If they mess up, if that data gets leaked, if they get breached, you as the dealer are actually the one that is held responsible for it. And not to mention the fees that you're probably paying. I don't know the last time, but I go through all the bills and look at all of the data fees that you pay that get passed through. So if we can find ways to save some money, I'm all about that too.
And we can help you save some money too.
Yeah, the fees are real, even on the vendor side, for integrating to all of those systems. And partners like NADAVault help us to get all of that access and power the dealer and power our AI agent, Jerry, to give that premium level of service consistently across the customer journey.
I think on the vendor side too, and something that we have done really well is just, so April's using CDK, but, there's how many different DMSs? Authenticom, we integrate with 39 different DMSs. We're in 40 IMSs, inventory management systems. And then we're in power sports too. And data is just all over the place. It's all mapped differently. Everybody has their own kind of standard to everything. And from a vendor perspective, if you want to grow with all different kinds of groups and stuff, you need to build out all of those integrations individually. How was kind of partnering with Authenticom, helpful in that regard?
Yeah, I think when I look at the value for Authenticom and Podium and the dealers, the onboarding experience is really where a lot of that value is realized. When we have a dealer come on, we take pride in closing the deal and setting them up within a day or two at max. And Authenticom enables us to get connected with the systems at that dealer site. A lot of times dealers are already using NADAVault, and we can just kind of hook in there and the dealers have access to enable that. And other times, if they haven't, then it's a great opportunity for them to better standardize their access and vendors' access to their own systems within their ecosystem.
So one of the things, and that's actually why I reached out to Authenticom, was my choice to start building this and finding a way to control our own data for our dealer group, was because they already were connected to some of the vendors, because some of the vendors, that's who they were already using. So regardless of my DMS, there are companies like LotLinks and Dealer Track, and some of them that were already using DealerVault, aka Authenticom, aka NADAVault now. All under that umbrella is all the same thing. And ultimately, I knew they already had those connectors. Those connectors worked. I knew they already had all the security. I didn't have to go through the pain of vetting all the things because I already knew it worked. So the onboarding then became really, really easy for us to do that. And I have some big, oh, isn't that fun? I have some really big plans to build this out even bigger. So my next layer is how can I get compliance right at my NADAVault, right? How can I get CDP right at my NADAVault? How can I get the OEM to now go to my NADAVault so that everything is in one space, it's controllable, it's actionable, and most importantly now I can actually be compliant with the laws that we're set to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a powerful thing when you can just have one secure place where all of your data is coming through. You want to go get it. You have a trusted partner. So thank you for being a partner. Yeah. So when looking into 2025, right, with just everything that has happened in 2024, what do you think is on the horizon for like DMS data and just data movement in general?
I think it's going to be the year that, like it or not, the walls are going to have to come down. The silos are going to have to be broken. The vendors, the DMSs, everybody is going to have to open those APIs and come into this century and work together because it's just going to be forced. If we don't, the uphill battles are just going to continue to ensue. So I think it'll be the year that walls finally start to come down and we start to make movement, and I'm excited for that.
I think, too, just regulations. I think, NADA has to come in, the state, associations, everybody. We really need to start pulling everybody together and, like, playing on one field. Because right now, it's just, everybody says, like, competition. Okay, competition's healthy. That's great. But to make things easier for dealers, especially with data movement and everything, you really should start kind of pulling together.
Well, okay, and it's so funny. I have 84 logins, so I always joke, like, I don't want another dashboard. I don't want another thing. I don't care how fancy you are. It doesn't matter to me because I'm not going to log into it anyway. And so that is the problem. We pay so much overlap because this thing does this much, and this thing does this much, and that little bit of overlap now means I have to have 2 or 3 or 4 vendors, and it's time to be efficient. That's what my name of the game, my title. We're going to be efficient this year.
Yeah, I think when compliance is super important. It's important for risk, but it's also important for the customer experience, for your customer experience as dealers, where we at Podium, we think about compliance all the time. Yeah. It's frankly part of my job to think about compliance, not just in the data that we're gathering on your behalf as dealers or vendors or where we're partnering together, but also for that consumer experience and messaging and being your compliance partner in understanding how the telcos do and don't want you to communicate with customers, whether that's through TCPA or other restrictions on that network, and making sure that all of those messages that you intend to send are delivered and not going into a filtered or block list. I think also giving you the access to empower you to use your data, the data that you are creating in these other systems and that a lot of these systems are monetizing without you reaping any kind of like additional benefit, having access to leverage something like NADAVault and empowering you to own that data, actually own the data that all of your employees are making and creating in that DMS or the CRM or the inventory management system or in Podium, and giving you the opportunity to leverage that data for your benefit to grow your business.
Well, and one of the things I'm also going to be working on, which I'm really excited about, is actually creating our own API to take, like the recall list from the manufacturers or the ICI lists or any of those types of data, take those lists and being able to move them over automatically rather than the manual process of download, upload, which really is not secure, and that's how they all tell us to do it, which I find hilarious. It's like, here, take all this PII, download it into an Excel spreadsheet, and then email it to somebody. Doesn't that sound safe?
Oh,
and
my
that
God,
is
the
literally,
emails.
right? This is how we're doing it. So I'm working on an API now so that I can get the data, those lists and that data, so that can flow and be able to move, and now I can action it in a secure place.
Yeah, let's get that connected so that we can have Jerry just out reaching out to all those recalls and get them in for service.
Bingo. That's exactly it.
I want you to have one login to rule them all instead of your 89.
That is my point. That is my point. Like, I'm going to count them up next year. I'll let you all know when I come back next year if I got from 84 down to, I don't know, 48? What do you think? Like half of
We're
these?
just going to have you log into Authenticom, and you'll be fine. We'll get you all set up. So we're talking about just streamlining integration and everything like that. So when you think about that sort of thing, like how has NADA helped you do that? Like NADAVault?
Well, and so it's funny. They just came out with NADAVault, but what we built last year is NADAVault. That's exactly what we did. So and to your point, the onboarding, you have to be a part of the onboarding, but because they already had all the structure, it was already built. They built this for vendors, and I said, well, why can't us dealers have this? Well, we never really thought about it. Well, now they've thought about it, and it is again, it's been hugely impactful because I'm working on the next layers, which is the write back stuff. So that's the stuff that I is still a hindrance, still a problem where we've got to have that ability now to write back to the DMS. You've got the Fortellis and that sort of thing. So having some great conversations around that. I am really excited about this year, though, using NADAVault and then being able to get all the rest of the partners to start to come together.
Yeah. So when you talk about writing back into the DMS and CMRM and stuff, why is that important to you from the dealer perspective and what you are building?
Well, it's necessary, right? Like it is 100% necessary. When we look at ROs, and it's primarily for service, right? If somebody comes in, you've got it scheduled, I have to be able to immediately push that into the DMS to be able to create the RO, to be able to get the part, to be able to do all the things. So until we get to a place where that write back works, that's going to be the one block that I still have, is getting that right back. And then it would be really great if we're cleaning the data, can we get that data clean inside the DMS, or can the OEM now go directly to NADAVault so that we don't have them pulling dirty data and then they go ahead and they send out mixed messages, which happens all the time, right? I've got this company is using my clean CDP data, right? They send out a, hey, your time for an oil change. And then the OEM, 3 days after they were at the store, send them a reminder because it's just on a cadence and they're pulling from this source versus this source. So it's just about trying to get us to be efficient with ourselves, but also with our customers, and understand that we give a bad customer experience not because we want to. We give a bad customer experience because of the hindrance of some of these things.
Well, I know they're going to kick us off stage here soon, and April and I like to talk. But we should talk about that because we also have a Motive Retail under the group of companies that does real-time push and pull data. So, girl, I got you. I can help you out with that.
Next step.
Yes.
Next step.
Okay. Well,
Any final words?
I would say that write back is super important, especially for those who are looking to do things like stop the clock in the CRM for OEM programs and other things related to leads on the sales side. Those are integrations that we built directly, largely, with all of the CRMs in the market. And yeah, we'd love to see that data empowered through for the dealers via NADAVault, and we look forward to that opportunity.
awesome. Well, April, Thomas, you guys are just amazing. I appreciate your partnership so much. Again, NADAVault, think about just secure data movement. So dealers, vendors, we are at booth 3319 and would love to have a deeper conversation with you at any time. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
and I'm around if you got questions.
April's great.
You just flag me down. Thank you, guys.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.